Chow intervenes in a 4-month-long rent strike.
If they continue to raise the rent, I'm on a fixed income, so I'll be homeless. So I'm fighting for my home.
Tenants say eviction notices have started to go out. We'll tell you their concerns and what the landlord is saying tonight.
I want it to be a hate crime because you have somebody called disgusting, vile names repeatedly.
And a 30-minute verbal attack against a TTC operator accused of being racist, misogynistic, and hateful.
See the motorcyclist look behind, confirming that the person did go down.
And a hit and run against a cyclist captured on dashcam video. What we know about the suspect. Good evening, I'm Chris Glover. A meeting in North Etobicoke that wrapped up late this evening is where we're starting things tonight. Mayor Olivia Chow was there to hear concerns from tenants of 2 apartment buildings. They've been on a rent strike since June, refusing to pay their rent after recent increases. Now, the landlord for the building was invited but did not attend. Anam Khan is live tonight outside the church where the closed-door meeting just ended. Anam, what happened inside tonight?
So there are about 100 people here. They had a private meeting with Mayor Olivia Chow. It was closed to the media, but they really are just concerned about their major rent increases. For the building that is not rent controlled, it has increased by 17% in the last 5 years. And for the building that is rent controlled, the landlord has been applying for an above guideline rent increases. And tenants here just cannot afford that. And they're also worried that these rent increases are not properly justified. So take a listen to what the tenants have to say, followed by Mayor Olivia Chow.
My concern is that if they continue to raise the rent, I'm on a fixed income, so I'll be homeless. So I'm fighting for my home.
I've been living here for 14 years, and in the 14 years I've been living here, it's been non-stop construction and renovation. They're not essential things that really affect the tenants directly.
What I'm trying to do as a mayor and with other members of council is to find ways to mediate, to find ways to bring 2 sides together and see if there could be a solution that can be found.
So the
tonight.
residents
and,
here...
this is a rent strike. As we were mentioning off the top, these tenants, they've been refusing to pay since June 1st. Now, the landlord itself is starting to take action. Tell us more about that, Anna.
So the residents here have formed a tenants union, and they tell me tonight that some of the tenants have started receiving eviction notices, and these are 800 people in both buildings that are being affected. So here's the tenants union co-chair.
Nobody in this rent strike is willing to give up. Nobody at this rent strike is willing to concede, and we are still waiting for Dream Unlimited to come and sit down at the negotiating table with us. We were here ready. We were here ready to negotiate, and they declined even the mayor's invitation, and that's a shame.
So as you've just heard, landlord Dream Unlimited was invited, but they refused. They did not come. In a statement to CBC tonight, they told us that this is for important restoration works, like they need to rebuild about 400 balconies, and they say they're also trying to resolve outstanding increase requests. And the landlord says it has agreed to cut a previous increase in half, and they said the application for 2019 will be ruled in the coming months, and that's what worries tenants. They don't know how much that rent increase might be.
For us tonight. Thank you, Anna. A multi-vehicle collision in Etobicoke tonight has left 6 people injured and a large debris field strewn over the road.
In total, 3 vehicles were involved in the initial crash. The 4th vehicle was struck by the debris from the passing vehicles. The information that we have is that a white Maserati was traveling northbound on Islington, where it was struck by a vehicle coming westbound, turning northbound on Islington Avenue. That resulted in a 3rd vehicle coming southbound that was struck by the white Maserati.
The crash happened near Islington and Bloor at around 6:40 tonight. Of the 6 people sent to hospital, 2 suffered serious but non-life-threatening injuries. The others suffered minor injuries. Police believe speed was a factor in the cause of the crash. And a motorcyclist is dead after a crash with an SUV in Brampton tonight. It happened in the area of Main Street and Elgin Drive just after 6. The male motorcyclist was pronounced dead at the scene, and the driver of the SUV remained on site. Peel's Major Collision Bureau has now been notified. Police have made an arrest in the hit-and-run crash on the 401 that left a construction worker seriously injured. Investigators had been looking for the driver of a black Corvette that struck the worker in the 401 eastbound lanes at Victoria Park early yesterday morning. The driver then fled the scene, and the worker suffered what police describe as serious, life-altering injuries. This morning, police announced they'd arrested a 24-year-old North York man. He is now facing dangerous driving and failing to remain charges. Officers say they also located the vehicle that struck the worker. Now to that video of the tirade against a TTC operator. There are calls tonight for hate crime charges to be laid after a man recorded himself making racist and misogynistic comments last week. Dan Manukduk is following the outcry after the video was posted online.
Yo, she won't open the door. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a yo, I paid for this bus.
Last Wednesday, a man filmed himself punching a TTC bus and berating an operator. The video lasts 30 minutes and is filled with profanity, racist, and misogynistic language directed at the driver.
You seen the tracks? I paid a fare. You can't do this to people. And she laughs. And she laughed at it's so funny. Watch when you go on YouTube, bro.
The video was posted online and thousands of people have seen it, including the mayor.
It was hateful, racist, misogynist, and I spoke to the worker directly the next morning and gave her my support.
Toronto police announced yesterday it had arrested 38-year-old Paul Sampolin of Toronto. He's charged with mischief, intimidation, and causing a disturbance. The mayor was joining transit staff at a TTC pep rally. The head of the union wants to see another charge added.
I want it to be a hate crime because you have somebody called disgusting, vile names repeatedly, a sustained attack. It was not a spontaneous utterance like a remark. This was an ongoing 30-minute attack of abuse. Racially, they were called a number of names that I will not repeat.
That video was posted to the YouTube account Boss President.
I've been on the TTC since the subway had orange seats made of fake leather.
The account has over 1,600 videos posted.
You guys need to learn how to treat taxpayers, bro. You guys never did nothing wrong yet. Hopefully they don't. But that bus driver, bro.
On the video platform Rumble, an account by the same name posted this video yesterday featuring the same man in the YouTube video. It appears to show him waiting to be arrested.
My lawyer's on the way, and we're gonna handle this. My lawyer's on the way, guys. So enjoy.
Meanwhile, ATU Local 113 says the bus operator did not receive any support from TTC management during the ordeal. CEO Rick Leary says he'll be presenting a report in 2 weeks to the TTC board to address the comfort and safety of staff and customers.
Things we know are our customers want to feel safe by seeing employees and having them visible. Our employees want to feel safe by seeing others, the police, the special constables, and other employees around that can respond for them, right? So we know that. So that's what we're looking at right now.
Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
And more new video tonight, now involved in a police investigation. The dash cam video captures a hit and run against a cyclist last month. Greg Ross walks us through the video and what the cyclist's lawyer is now calling for.
It was late on a Friday night. This cyclist is riding in the bike lane on Dundas Street East when what appears to be a motorcycle drives up behind the cyclist, violently knocking him to the ground.
He goes into the cycling lane after our client and hits him, we say intentionally.
Dave Shelnut, also known as the biking lawyer, is representing the cyclist in this video. He says there was an altercation that led up to the hit and run.
The motorcyclist cut off our client and he gestured to him his displeasure, and that really set this person off.
In another video from the opposite angle, you can see the driver of the motorcycle driving in the regular lane of traffic. He points at the cyclist and appears to be saying something. When traffic starts moving again, the driver of the motorcycle veers into the bike lane. It happened here on Dundas Street, just east of River. After knocking the cyclist over here, the driver of that motorcycle continued eastbound on Dundas.
We think you can see him hitting him physically. Our client goes down. You see the motorcyclist look behind, confirming that the person did go down.
Shalnut says his client, who asked not to be identified, suffered serious injuries in the collision.
Our client was taken to hospital and was there for an extended period of time. There's clavicle fracture and spinal fractures as well. Thankfully, they're home now, but there is a long road to recovery.
There doesn't appear to be a license plate on the motorcycle. Shalnut says they're hoping someone will be able to recognize the driver from this video.
Yellow, lime green helmet, rides with a white helmet beside on their motorized motorbike or scooter. If you know this person, happened in the Dundas East and River Street area.
The incident happened on August 25th. Police are asking anyone with information or additional video footage to come forward. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
And taking you outside for a live look at the city tonight, 12 degrees and clear skies. Colette is here now with the first look at the forecast. We're heading down overnight tonight to 11, Colette, and I'm finding the mornings are really starting to feel fresh.
Yeah, Chris, at this time of year with kind of cooler mornings and then the afternoon becomes a little more pleasant. It's just takes a little bit of thought, I guess, to get the kids dressed appropriately and get yourself dressed appropriately too. A few layers, a jacket, a sweater, something that can be removed. And that's what we're talking about, because even when I show you these school day forecasts, we're actually looking at what the temperature is going to be at about 8 a.m. So it kind of depends when you're out the door. We will be looking at sunshine, still a northwesterly breeze. In fact, in the morning, it may be about 10 to 20 kilometers an hour, and then getting lighter in the afternoon and just 11 degrees. Now, today's daytime highs, yeah, we saw a lot of teens, few 20s where there was more sunshine well off to the east. Tomorrow will be similar, just a tiny bit warmer, I would expect. And at least we have not only the sunshine during the day, but we get into, after tonight, clear skies at night too. You can do some stargazing. So there's that 11 and 20 for tomorrow afternoon, Chris. And we'll take a look at the long range forecast when I come back.
All right, sounds good. We'll see you then. Some political news developing this evening. CBC Toronto has confirmed Bonnie Crombie is taking a leave of absence as the mayor of Mississauga. Crombie's campaign spokesperson confirming in an email this evening, but directing the media to the office of the mayor for further details. Crombie launched her bid to be the leader of the Ontario Liberal Party back in June. Now, tonight's move comes as party members get set to elect their next leader. That'll be announced this December, and the next provincial election is slated for spring of 2026. A quietly released environmental report is making a big splash tonight. The report outlines the ways climate change threatens Ontario in our lifetime. It was delivered to the Ford government in January and posted online in the middle of the summer with no public announcement. For the details and the criticisms on that timeline, let's turn now to our senior reporter at Queen's Park, Mike Crawley.
It's been a summer of at times extreme weather here in Ontario, with wildfire smoke blanketing huge swaths of the province and heavy rains repeatedly bringing flooding to communities. Plus, our planet endured its hottest month in recorded history. And now comes a warning that climate change threatens to bring extreme weather to Ontario even more often over the decades to come. It's in a report commissioned by the Ford government.
The report is meant to establish the baseline.
Al Douglas leads the team that researched the threats from climate change.
It will pose significant risks for all parts of the province and to all Ontarians.
The report does the best job that's been done to date, describing the impacts of climate change and extreme weather.
One of the starkest threats the report lays out, how often temperatures could hit 30 degrees and up. Southern Ontario typically gets around 16 extreme heat days each year. The report predicts within the lifetime of today's kids, that will soar to an average of about 60 days. Northern Ontario goes from 4 extreme heat days per year now to 35. Whoa. That threatens production of the food you eat.
Think about crops and livestock and fruits and vegetables and things like that. The extreme heat can have a significant impact on the yields that we have for those commodities.
What we aren't seeing is urgency on the part of the province to address these risks. That's really what concerns me.
The report was delivered to the Ford government in January. It sat on it until August, then posted it to the web with no public announcement, just as the Greenbelt controversy neared its peak.
I think the reason they're trying to hide it is because this government has ripped up all the plans to address the climate crisis in Ontario.
I think they just want this to go away. They want it to be ignored. They don't want people to think about it. They don't want it to be a public issue.
The Environment Minister was not available for an interview. His spokesperson says the government is working to identify more ways to prepare Ontario for the effects of climate change. Mike Crowley.
Welcome back. Ontario's education minister is stepping in tonight after CBC Toronto started asking questions about thousands of books removed from Peel school libraries. Angelina King explains.
I did go to the fiction section of my library and I saw
this. Empty shelves on the first day of school.
And sections that have been completely erased.
Raina Takata says more than half of the books at her Mississauga school library are gone, including her favorites like Harry Potter and The Hunger Games.
Taking away books without anyone's knowledge is considered censorship.
CBC News has learned thousands of books have been removed within the Peel District School Board, many likely ending up in the landfill. Like most libraries in Canada, Peel schools are to weed out books that are damaged or outdated, but the board is going further. According to an internal document reviewed by CBC, books that aren't inclusive or reinforce racist content or stereotypes also have to go. That was put into place in response to a ministry directive mandating the board undergo a diversity audit as part of a review on systemic discrimination within the board. But it appears that was misinterpreted. At first, neither Ontario's Education Ministry nor the minister's office would comment for the story. But after it was published, the minister told CBC he told the board to end the process immediately. In a statement saying, Ontario is committed to ensuring that the addition of new books better reflects the rich diversity of our communities. It is offensive, illogical, and counterintuitive to remove books from years past that educate students on Canada's history, anti-Semitism, or celebrated literary classics.
My son is in grade 10.
Parent Tom Ellard says he thinks the school board misinterpreted the ministry's directive. Ellard and other parents and students are concerned with how the process has been unfolding.
I'm not comfortable giving anyone the power to be the arbiter on a huge basis of what's right and wrong from a library's perspective about the totality of ideas that are available.
Takata, who's Japanese, says she's worried books with themes of race like Japanese Canadian internment will disappear.
It shows students that it never happened.
At Takata's school and others, the process has led to confusion. Because staff are supposed to focus on weeding books published in 2008 or prior, it appears some have tossed nearly all books published in that time frame.
I brought these two books, The Very Hungry Caterpillar and The Diary of Anne Frank.
Diane Lawson says she spoke with teachers who are upset those books were removed, seemingly based on publication date alone.
That doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Lawson and Ellard created a group called Libraries Not Landfills after they say teachers reached out in hopes they could raise awareness.
It's important that those challenging ideas are there and available to us. If they're not there, how are we providing a learning environment for our children?
The process itself rolled out wrong.
Trustee and school board chair David Green says after trustees learned about the process, they implemented changes in hopes of ensuring transparency and accountability. Now, if a book is tossed for not being inclusive, staff must record it.
We want to make sure it's done properly, that all students feel included and part of the process.
So I have talked to a few of my friends.
But so far, they don't feel that way.
And our decisions and thoughts haven't been considered.
I'm worried about my chance with other students when coming up to university that have access to all those books that I don't have.
CBC asked the school board whether it will adhere to the minister's request and stop the process, but didn't hear back. We previously asked the board several questions like how many books have been thrown out and how much it'll cost to replace them, but they weren't addressed. Instead, the board said it's working to ensure books are culturally responsive, inclusive, and diverse. Angelina King, CBC News, Toronto.
A fly ball to right center. Carter is there.
Rough news tonight. The Jays' losing streak continues. They dropped Game 3 against the Rangers tonight in a crucial 4-game series. The 10-0 loss drops Toronto a game and a half back of the wild card leading Rangers and a full game back of the Seattle Mariners. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Okay, let's get back to you, Colette. And I know Canada is in line to get hit by Hurricane Ian later this week, but right now, monitoring the storm as it approaches Bermuda.
That's right, Chris. In the short term, all eyes on the island of Bermuda as Hurricane Lee will be passing just to the west. So really the impact through the day tomorrow. But it's after that, of course, why we've also been paying attention to Lee. As it treks northward, we're starting to see, this is again going to be mostly for this coming weekend, mostly for Saturday, although still some impacts into Sunday, seeing some of those hurricane watches being issued. You know, around Maine, we've got the National Hurricane Center from the U.S., but also the Canadian Hurricane Center kind of coming together, because also New Brunswick, southwestern Nova Scotia, in that range is where we're likely to see the most impact. Still a Category 1, that's into Saturday, but then moving on, it becomes post-tropical, and those winds begin to diminish. Now, it is going to weaken. You can see from 2 down to 1 as it gets over those cooler waters, but it's also going to expand. So quite an area there in Atlantic Canada and the northeastern U.S. being impacted. So we keep watching that for you. We're watching our skies, and luckily a little quieter for us as we get into clear conditions as we move forward. So sunshine tomorrow, and then our nights get clearer too. Tonight we still have a few clouds roaming around. Those winds, which have been a little breezy from the west-northwest, still have 10 to 20 kilometers an hour tomorrow. Later afternoon, those will get a little lighter too, but it makes it feel a little cooler. You know, just nice fresh days. We're not quite into fall yet, meteorological fall, but not fall, but we're getting there and it's starting to feel like it. Some of the overnight temperatures, this is just at 2 a.m. So you'll see these actually shift as some of the cloud cover recedes in the overnight, and it's going to allow some of those to dip down further into the single digits, not just the few areas you saw. Then tomorrow it's 20 degrees for our daytime high for Thursday. Sunshine, clear skies 20 for Friday, and Saturday just a little bit of a warm up with a high of 23. And then, yes, Chris, for the second half of the weekend, it looks like at least some scattered showers coming in later on Sunday.
But pretty nice daytime highs. All right, thanks, Colette. And thank you for watching. That's our show for tonight. Maribel Tarouk has your next local newscast tomorrow at 6.